Hey everyone, it's Caitlin and welcome to another video. Surprisingly, this video isn't really going to be about food or veganism, which are the two main themes for my channel. But today I'm going to be talking about how I stopped procrastinating and share 5 easy tips with you all, so maybe you can do that too. Every time I film a vlog and show people my normal day-to-day life, I always get comments on people requesting for tips on how to stop procrastinating or how to be more proactive in your life. Because for those of you who don't know, I am currently a graduate student. I am studying physical therapy in graduate school, and I also run this YouTube channel where I try to post 2 to 3 times a week. And I also have an Instagram account where I post almost daily. So that is a lot, and I'm not going to lie. I do have to be a very organized person in order to do all of those things. But I'm going to share my secrets of the trade with you all. So believe it or not, I was actually the world's worst procrastinator in high school and even in grade school. I have a pretty good memory, so in grade school and high school I was kind of that person who could cram for a test like up to 2 nights before max, and I would still retain it all and do really well on the exam. However, when I got to college, I realized that that just isn't possible if you really want to learn the material, and so I began to stop procrastinating. However, it wasn't as simple as that. Basically, what turned me from a mega procrastinator, I'm saying like staying up super late in the morning, putting off projects till the night before they were due, etc. I'm sure you're there, I'm sure you know the drill. Unfortunately for me, I kind of went through a horrible set of circumstances, and that caused me to no longer procrastinate. So I took a combination of classes that is usually not advised or recommended, and it was a lot of studying to the point where I was waking up early in the mornings to study and staying up late just to study and get all of my classwork done so I didn't do poorly in those classes. I'm talking about even on the weekends. I wake up at like 6 a.m. and go to bed past midnight sometimes, like consecutively for weeks on end, just to stay on top of all my course material. So based on that experience, I learned that it's always best to do something if you have time to do it and just to get things out of the way. But I don't want you guys to go through that experience, so I'm going to share my 5 tips with you in the hopes that you can prevent this. Now, ultimately, you are the person who decides if you're going to procrastinate or not. So really, it is all about your mindset. However, you can use these tips to help you become a more proactive person. So my first tip is to keep a planner, and I actually have my planner right here with me. I just got this one on Amazon. I'm not completely attached to it, but I do like it. So every day I write down things that I need to do, and I also make a to-do list for the weekends as well. Because although I can keep a general list of things that I know I have to do in my head, I find that I actually completely remember everything when I write it down. And you also get a lot more satisfaction in completing a task, or for me at least, when I can cross it off on my planner. So I prefer planners that just have blank lines with space on every day of the week. And then, like most people who use planners, I just write everything I have to do. And I also pencil in important events. So if I know I have a meeting or a special class project or an exam coming up, I write it in here. And the thing that I do like about this planner is it has month previews as well. So as you can see here, this is the month, and I write in all of my exams. If you guys are interested in this planner, it does come in different patterns for those of you who don't like flowers, but I can put a link to it in this description of this video. But there are a lot of good planners out there, so I suggest looking around and seeing which ones you like best. My second tip is to study better, and this doesn't necessarily mean to study more. And this is one of the things that I think you learn through your study experience, and as you mature, you learn what type of person you are. So for those of you who aren't familiar, I think the science community has generally established that there are different types of learners. There are some people who really like to read things. There are some people who like to listen to things, or they're more visual learners. They like to see pictures, etc. And then there are also people who are tactile learners, so they need to have hands-on activities in order to learn the material. For me personally, I am definitely a written learner, and I like having a set list of notes that I have to read. And what works for me is I read my notes, and then I handwrite outlines and flashcards as well, and then I read through those over and over again until I learn the material. I don't really need visual pictures or hands-on experiences. I find that I can create the images in my mind on my own. However, you may be completely different from me, so you need to develop a study habit that works for you. And like I said, you need to learn how to study better, which doesn't mean staying up all night in order to study. And just because your study program or set of things that you do works really well for one class, you have to keep your mind pretty open because it may not work as well for another class based on the type of material that is presented. I have had to change my study plan a bit to bit based on certain classes. However, I found that the fundamental principles and things that work best for me, I generally stick to. Also, when it comes to studying better, this is completely anecdotal, but I'm pretty sure I read this at one point in my life, but I have learned that yellow highlighter is the best type of highlighter to encourage memory learning. So I'm weird and I only use yellow highlighter. Also, I know we're all addicted to technology and the internet, but you have an increased capacity to learn things when you actually write them out versus when you type them on your computer. Muscle memory is a real thing. And also incorporating as many senses into your study experience helps you to remember the information more. So sometimes I'll even read my notes out loud, and it definitely helps speed up my memory process. My third tip is the one that nobody wants to hear, and it's to eliminate distractions. Now again, you are most likely to recall information related to school or whatever in the environment that you learn it in. So for example, I see a lot of kids listening to music or watching a TV show while they're studying, but I'm sorry to tell you that music's not going to be playing when you're taking your exam, and Netflix is definitely not going to be up. So I know you want to have downtime to relax and do your own thing, but personally, from experience, I find that studying in a completely quiet environment when you can 100% focus your attention on the task at hand is what really helps you learn the material best. Now, I'm not saying you can't have time to unwind, but you can think about it this way. If you completely dedicate yourself to learning the material, you will learn it faster, and then you can use the time that you save to maybe relax, watch that TV show, or catch up on some sleep that you're probably missing. And this also does apply to food as well. So snacking is a distraction because you're forcing your mind to deviate from the material that you're reading. So realistically, it's probably not good to snack while you study. My fourth tip is to use the Pomodoro Method. Now, this kind of goes in line of what I was saying earlier, where you need to 100% dedicate yourself to a task. And you can look up this method online, and I looked this up several years ago when I was in high school and I was trying to get myself to focus more on the material. And I've probably tweaked it a little bit, but this is my method or my version of the Pomodoro Method, so I'm going to share it with you. You can do the original version if you want to get super technical. So basically what the Pomodoro Method is you set a timer for 25 minutes, and during those 25 minutes you focus completely on the task at hand and no distractions are allowed whatsoever. So for example, if you need to read a chapter of your textbook, set a timer for 25 minutes, and in those 25 minutes you're only going to read your textbook. You're not going to go up to go to the bathroom, you're not going to walk outside to walk your dog, I don't know, you're not going to drink some water, you're not going to check your phone or go on Facebook, etc. You're only sitting in front of that book. And 25 minutes is actually a perfect amount of time to set, because it's short enough where you can convince yourself, hey, it's less than half an hour, I can dedicate myself to anything for less than half an hour. But it's also long enough where you have time to get into a groove and you don't feel like you're distracted every few seconds or whatever. And what I have noticed, and what the Pomodoro Method does do, is at the end of 25 minutes, that's usually when you're really in the zone and you're just starting to get focused on the material at hand. So when the 25 minutes goes off, you have the option to take a short 5-minute break where you can relax and do the things that you wanted to do, or you can continue on and stay focused on the material. And for me, I found that 90% of the time I am so absorbed into the material that I don't even want to take a break, and I just want to get through it and finish it, and then I'll take a break afterwards. However, in the beginning when I did start using this method, I probably did take more breaks, but I think that my mind has become more accustomed to focusing for longer periods of time. But if you're ever in a situation where you really need to crack down and crank out some studying, I would highly suggest trying this method out. I know the website sells a timer for the exact amount of time, but honestly I just use the timer app on my phone. You really don't need to purchase anything. My fifth and final tip for how to stop procrastinating is to really realize that if you have time to do something now, do it now. And I'm still struggling to learn this, and I still don't do this sometimes, but do as I say, not as I do, I guess. But if you think of something that you need to do, that you could do at that very moment, it makes so much more sense just to do it at that moment versus waiting and forgetting about it and then remembering 2 days later and being like, oh crap, I still haven't done that. Oh, I'll do it later. And that's when your to-do list starts to really pile up and you have a lot of tasks at hand. So an easy example for this is this weekend I was riding my bike and I noticed that my seat had sort of fallen down and it wasn't as comfortable for me to cycle normally. I could tell like my legs were a little bit more compressed. And raising my bike seat is a super easy fix. It would take maybe like 2 minutes max. Just unscrew it, raise the seat up, and whatever. But I got home and I was like, oh, I don't feel like doing that now. I'll remember later in the evening. And I put it off, and the next day I was in a rush in the morning and I completely forgot about it. And what I didn't realize until I was on my bike already out the door that I should have fixed my seat. So I learned from my lesson, and when I got home, I fixed my bike seat as soon as possible. But if I just fixed my bike seat originally, it would save a lot of time in the first place because I also wouldn't have to keep recalling that I needed to do the task. And I know all of us like to put things off, and you know, if you're really in the moment or you're watching that TV show, you don't really want to do a break to do the thing that you just remembered. However, I really do think that it is worth it in the end, and it is a big time saver. So I would just suggest giving it a shot, and it does take a while to form a habit, but if you form this habit, you're definitely not going to regret it. Alright guys, those are the 5 things I did to help myself stop procrastinating, and I hope that they can help you guys be a little bit more proactive in your lives as well. If you have any other tips on how you stop procrastinating and force yourselves to do the work that you have to do, let me know in the comments below, and we can all share our pro tips with everyone, and hopefully we can all become better students and just people in general, society, I guess. I don't really know where I'm going with this sentence, but yeah, that's everything in this video. As always, thank you so much for watching. Be sure to subscribe if you haven't already for more videos, and I will see you guys later. Bye.